All right, let's make some stuff up. Let's make this work. All right, John, I'll start with you because you're an early stage investor in both physical products and digital technology companies. How do you approach conversations with an early stage physical products company differently than you would with a technology company?
So we, so at the Oregon Venture Fund, we are a venture fund. When we look at physical goods products, I'd probably put them into two different things. One would be consumer, the other might be more industrial or more for business use. We would, on the consumer side, we're going to invest at a later stage. We're going to want to see companies that have $1 million or $2 million in revenue at least to demonstrate that people care about the thing that you're making. So what we would do is really dig down and try to understand, what are you doing to show that people love what you're doing, love your product? What are the proof points around that? So the more you can get proof points by actually knowing whether or not customers like it, is a really important thing. So sometimes for food companies, we're like, go to the farmer's market, try it out. Go see if people are going to buy your product and see if they like it. And if they don't like it, then you have a different problem, right? And so I think always focusing on that customer validation side as a consumer product, we want to see that ultimately you've proven out how you can make it, how you can scale the manufacturing, how you can scale the sales and marketing, and how you can scale the financing, which we can help with. So typically, if I'm meeting a really early stage product, physical goods product, I would suggest thinking about getting involved in some of the organizations that really focus on that from a prototype to product stage. People like Built Oregon does a lot of that, and Pi does a lot of that with their accelerator through Autodesk. And OEN does some of that as well. And so really trying to find people that can help you think about how to validate that somebody wants the thing that you're selling.
Okay, sounds good. And Kobe, can I call you a banker? A lender?
Nonprofit.
A nonprofit.
Yeah.
As a nonprofit who supports early stage entrepreneurs,
yeah.
How do you approach those folks that come to you with a passion for an idea, a way they think they can solve a problem better than it's being solved today, and they need to get started? What do you tell them to do first?
Yeah, so unlike what he just said, we are $1 million and below. Uh-huh. We take a customer walking in the door, a client who has an idea.
Okay.
We can also take somebody who's got a product that they've been selling at things like a farmer's market or holiday markets or pop-ups, etc. But what he's looking for in that case, proving that somebody actually wants this product, can you sell this product? We're helping them to actually establish all those proof points that they need to then go out, earn some money, make some money off this, gain some revenue, and then be eligible for an investment or be primed for an investment. That's the technical assistance part of the work that we do. Then the other side of the house, we are a lender. So we're a CDFI. We lend anywhere from $100 at a credit builder loan, because sometimes that is kind of what they need in order to get either equity or any funding to purchase some products and materials, etc., all the way up to $500,000. And we create schedules and a course of lending for them that really works for them as a client based on what that product or their business might be. So everything we do in advance helps to build them up to the point that they're then eligible and ready for an investment.
Right, okay, so you've got sort of the earliest stages of idea, which is where a lot of the students would be coming from, right? They're like, I see a problem, I think I can fix it, I need to build a way to test whether or not my idea works.
Absolutely.
Right? And so that may be, gosh, if I just had $500 to build that first prototype, take it to the person who has the problem that told me that my solution was valid, then that could be a place where technical assistance and other resources from MISO could help.
Absolutely, and the $500 is key, because we actually would do something like that, help them to get the amount needed to be able to either create, build, develop whatever this idea might be. We also administrate the IDA program, which is the Individual Development Accounts that Oregon supports, and that's that match savings program.
Okay.
We're a 5-to-1 match at MISO, so if they're putting some money in, we're matching that at 5-to-1 ratio to help them also to build up enough revenue or enough money to begin to fund whatever it is that they're trying to create.
Okay, so help me understand 5-to-1. So if I put in $100, you'll put in $500?
I will. Mm-hmm.
And so then I could take that, I could put my $100 in to build my first rounded product prototype.
You got to save that first 100.
You got to save my first 100.
We match that. After 6 months, you can take it all out.
So I save up a bunch of stuff. I sell a bunch of things on eBay, whatever it is, to
Absolutely.
get my $100. And I can get some matching funds then to go out and build a prototype.
Absolutely,
Cool.
absolutely, yeah. And then with our lending, because we are a different type of lender, we are a lender for people who have either a difficult relationship with the bank, not ready for a bank loan because again, they don't have the credit, they don't have the collateral, they have got no proof point that this product's going to work. Oftentimes that's not primed clientele for traditional banking. We would get them in and have conversations with them about really how much they need, what they're using it for. We help them with anything from financials to thinking about collateral. And then on our loans, we would take things for collateral that most banks never would. So if you had a product, you might be putting all your handful of tools or, a number of different things we would take as collateral that a regular bank would not even blink an eye, but that's what we're here for, is to help those 0 to 3, especially year 0 to 3 startups, to really be able to create, build, understand what it means to build a product, what it means to be an entrepreneur, so that they can create something, build it, grow it, scale it, and then move on to the point where they want to grow their business and really scale it with an investment.
Right, super. That's really cool. So basically, earliest stages.
The earliest.
The earliest.
Yeah.
If I can take and pull together some money to get it going, that you, through your technical assistance programs and the other lending programs, have ways to help.
Yeah, and what we want to do is be able to refer them to a program like his or a traditional bank because they're ready for it. They've graduated out, they have a viable product that's working, and we really believe in it enough that we hope somebody else would too.
Cool.
I was just going to add to that, like one of the things that I think a lot of companies early stage are like, I need capital. Yeah. And what I often say is like, really, is that the most important thing that you need? Like what you really need is, maybe you need to go talk to a bunch of people who build products like this, talk to them about what they're doing, let them tell you the pitfalls of how this is. Like I have, if there's somebody that's doing something in the soft goods, I have my friend Bill, he's a designer, and I say, go talk to Bill, and Bill talks to everybody. And he's like, here's the things you need to think about and how you're going to make this, because when you go to manufacture this at scale, it's going to be hard to do.
Right.
And so I think getting as much advice and creating a network of advisors, finding out the language of the industry you're in, and the vocabulary, and the people that have done it before you, especially here in Oregon, everyone's pretty helpful. So finding that network and tapping into it, even before you go to capital, I think is
right.
And that's oftentimes what I try to do is like, don't even talk about money. Let's validate with a couple people who are ahead of you, know how to do things.
Right. Like we're talking, as the audience of the students in Invent Oregon, right? It's like you have an idea to solve a problem. We'll figure out how things work in that industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because there may be cycles of buying that exist. There might be entrenched big companies that don't want to play well with little guys. All sorts of things like that that you can run into. You just wouldn't know, and that can severely limit your.
I think it's easy for people that when you're starting something, you're all passionate about it. I'm making this great thing. It's easy to get really focused on the product and not the business, and how great this product is going to be.
Right.
And the more you expose yourself to other people, and you expose your idea to people and let people who have done those things before push back a little bit, the more you're going to learn, and the faster the learning cycles are, the more advanced you're going to make, which might sound counterintuitive. You might think, everyone told me it's terrible. It's like, yeah, great, so learn from that and move on from there. And that, we look for companies all the time that have really fast learning cycles, and if you can demonstrate that, you're going to do a lot better with all of us.
So learning requires, it doesn't require it, but often the best learning comes from failures, right? So if you go and pull together a $500 or $1,000 loan to try something out and fail, what are the potential downside consequences for an entrepreneur if that $500 loan, $1,000 loan doesn't really come to pass the way doesn't give them the thing they thought they would get?
Yeah, at least with our organizations and other CDFIs, repaying that $500 or $1,000 if it failed, we can make that easy for you. We can be very accommodating. And then what you do is work with the business coach. We've got a market research team. We have classes that you may take. we will sit you down, somebody very candid conversations, very real and caring conversations, but let's re-look at your product. Let's take a look at your business plans, take a look at your approach. We can connect you also with mentors, like you mentioned. It is very good to really understand the market by which you're trying to present this product. And if you don't understand it, then we have a hard time really helping you to flesh out what it is that you're trying to move forward with. And similar to what he mentioned, we will talk people out of capital all day long. All day long, because really if you have a solid conversation, they've got a coaching session, they're looking at their numbers, looking at their data, they're looking at their inventory, whatever it might be, you might ask for $10,000. By the time we're done, you're really at $2,500 and a couple more weeks worth of work. It's really helping them understand what it is you're doing. And then, he just mentioned the business side of it. Entirely different, that's a whole different beast, because people who develop their own products or start their own business have no idea how much work it is to be an entrepreneur. So not only are you building and developing, but unless you've got a lot of funding, you're also running this and marketing this and putting this on social media and trying to sell it, and you're trying to prove that someone wants to invest in it. That's all you.
Yeah. And
that's oftentimes where we see it weeded out. We might have somebody have an idea their whole life, and they may just sit on it because they've tried and realized that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship, again, not for the faint of heart. And if they can get through our program to the point that they're ready for an investor, they've proven, that's the big part. Proof is a big part. You've proven you're invested in your own product enough to do the work that we told you to do the work that you've researched and learned how to do, make the suggestions that an investor might have, or some program might have told you to do, to the point you're walking into this investment opportunity ready.
Yeah.
But they know that you've done the work. So between our organizations, other partner CDFIs, other investment organizations, we all try to pour into those business owners, but only if they're invested in themselves.
Cool. Now, I go back to kind of what John mentioned with prototyping. You mentioned it in terms of talking people out of capital.
Absolutely.
Right? So when you're building a prototype, how do you explain to someone the purpose of that prototype? Because you're not necessarily building it to like a technical spec, right? You're not going to make it perfect the first time around. But when you build a prototype to test your idea, what should people focus on?
It's different for different types of products.
Yeah,
I think.
sure. Yeah, it's different for food versus like shoes, etc.
Yeah. If it's food, it should be delicious.
Right.
If it's not delicious, try that.
Right. Try it again. Try again.
If it's a product that people use, it's like, do they use it and do they want to use it? I think the purpose of a prototype should be a lot like the purpose of a pitch. Like your first time, everyone's got their pitch. You're not trying to sell it. The pitch, people come and pitch for investment. Like, we're not going to get married after a meeting. All you want is to get to the next meeting. And so your prototype and your pitch should be the same, which is get me excited enough that we want to meet again. And we'll dig in and start. And in the meantime, if you can make it super exciting, I'm going to tell all my friends, be like, hey, did you hear about this thing? I saw the coolest thing yesterday. And that's what I think is like, how do you get excitement in people? And that's the prototype, that's the story around it. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't focus enough on the storytelling of what it is they're doing, why they're doing it, and how big the opportunity can be for what they're doing.
Yeah, indeed. And in the prototyping, then you're building a thing that's going to test your hypothesis about people's problems, people's desire for a solution, whether or not people will pay for it, right? How about pricing? Does it matter at the earliest stages if someone's like, oh, I'm going to make this thing, I'm going to sell it for $5 or $10 or $100?
Yes.
How do you talk to someone about that? Because I know that can be very sticky in terms of what people think.
Pricing is a fun conversation to have if you know your clients well, because what you're doing is they're coming, with this product and they're so excited about it. Let's say it's a beauty product, it's a lotion, it's a something,
right.
And they've made it, it smells delicious, people love to use it, their whole family uses it, they've sold it at farmers markets and all these things, and they're like, it's so great and it's selling for $5, a jar. Then you start, that pricing worksheet with them is probably the most eye-opening exercise that you will ever do. Because you're going through, how much did the jar cost?
Yeah.
How much were the following butters and essential oils and all these things cost? How much was that label? How much did you pay this man to build your website? How much did you pay for this? So at the end of it, you're selling it for $5. It costs you dang near $20, a container to make. That's not going to work. So then we start having the conversation about just the we're either talking about the bulk. Where are you purchasing these items from? Let's, buy bigger, spend less. Let's think about whether or not this is the actual market for this particular type. This is a higher end product for the following reasons. So let's look at market research, would show you that other people are pricing this at XYZ. Should you be selling it in basic stores? Is this a more of a, like I said, a higher end product? Should this be only at certain places? Should you market it like this? So it is an entire conversation. And then when it comes to like other types of products, same thing. That's a conversation that someone would have just to do the understanding what this is, how it's being used, who else is doing something similar, how much did it cost to build this? Yeah. And that's not even including like the cost of a commercial kitchen or the cost, renting of a makerspace or a manufacturing opportunity. Like all of that has to be taken into account by unit. And those are some very eye-opening conversations.
Yeah, because you start to, what I've seen entrepreneurs do is they'll price it based on what's in the market today, and not really thinking about the fact that that's something that's made in these tens of thousands of units.
Or what they think will sell, like a price that sounds like people love it because it's this. It's like, but you've lost money at the end of the day. But
it doesn't $10.
It doesn't click though sometimes until it takes looking at it on paper sometimes before you really understand how much you spent on that unit.
Yeah. So for early stage entrepreneurs, it's less about pricing than more about the value sometimes that you're going to deliver, right?
I think they get enamored with that. It's like, oh, I'm going to build this great thing that everyone's going to love. But yeah, I think you have to triangulate on what the market will bear price-wise and what it costs you. And if you can sell it for your lotion for $5, but it costs you $20, that's no good. If it costs you $4, that's also no good. You're like, I'm making $1 in every jar. Well, you're not actually, because if you intend to sell it at a store for $5, you have to sell it to the store for $3, and so or less. And so, how do you understanding the dynamics of how the industry works? I think is really important. And I guess from the investor side, what it shows me is how well you've done your homework.
Done your homework.
Yeah, like if you understand what the competitive prices are, you're like, if we're a lotion, we play in the $5, we play in the $20, and they're very different types of things. And you can, and that drives everything else then too. Your branding, like we're going to be a high-end brand. We're going to be the coolest thing, and it's going to be $20. We might be an everyday brand, and it's going to be $5. And they're all different, and you just have to, all those pieces have to work together. And I think helping entrepreneurs figure that stuff out, like the more you can have done your research to say, I am this kind of a thing, I look like this, the people I want to be like when I grow up in 10 years is this. Yeah. I want to be this brand, and what is that brand like? And that helps us think about also how to think about the businesses.
Mm-hmm. Right. So as you help entrepreneurs along the way and they bring in funding, maybe they got an early stage loan, maybe they borrowed some money from friends and family, maybe they scrape together their life savings, whatever it may be. How do you help guide people through the funding process when it comes to like seed and equity funding, right? When people are thinking, oh, well, I need to bring on an investor. What's your advice to someone who says, I need an investor to build my business? And they're just like set on the fact that they just need somebody who's going to show up with bags of money to help them get going.
I mean, we would say get going where? Get going to what? Like what is your end goal? What's this end result? You want to have this many units sold in this many stores, or sold worldwide, or on this type of online product. What? It's not just a walk in and I need more money. I mean, I guess, like I said, we're going to talk people down from that dollar amount every single time to make sure they don't put themselves in a difficult position, and that they also make the best use of their funds, whether it's a grant funds, whether it's an investment, whether it's a loan, because that's money they're paying back. But it's a conversation that has to be had. They have to be very clear about the direction of their product, of their business, be able to show and prove that this business or this model has the potential to do exactly what they're hoping it's going to do. But these are conversations. I mean, it's never just someone would walk into our doors and say, I need a bag of money for this. And I mean, even though we're a lender, we're not doing that. We're not going to predatorily have a conversation with everybody and just get them into a product that we know the product's not necessarily viable, their plan is for sure not viable, and they're not ready for any other opportunity. So for us, it's coaching and conversation. I would imagine for you, it's very similar if they wanted.
Well, if someone walked into me and said, I need an investor, my standard answer is, no, you don't. You don't need an investor. You might need capital for your business, right? And there's lots of ways to get capital. And there's banks, there's programs, there's investors. And the best, fastest, easiest, cheapest way to get capital is go sell some stuff. Like if you got a product, go sell it, get people to buy it, and now you have capital. And if you're making a profit on it, you are generating capital as you go. The next easiest way is to get working capital is to go to your suppliers and see if they'll work with you. If they believe in your business, they give you 60-day terms instead of 30-day terms. Or 90-day terms even, and now you've got that much more working capital to work with. Going to your other partners and your employees, you never know who's interested, and it's like, then you can go to the banks and to loan programs, and then, only then, you can go to investors.
Right.
That's kind of the way I think about it.
And then I think that's probably one of the misunderstood pieces of investments, early stage investments. Like, oh, well, I need an investor to get me off the ground. So no, you have to get yourself off the ground.
You have to get yourself off the ground.
You've got to prove, like you say,
Yeah.
does someone want to buy this?
Yeah.
Like if you can get people to buy it and they're excited about it, then yeah.
I think that's probably the single biggest thing. Like if people are wanting to buy the thing that you're making, it's a proof point, and it's a proof point that your thing has value to somebody, and that is the type of thing that helps everybody else in the value chain, and it helps you. So
got it. So let's look at maybe from the perspective of the thing that you can't get people to buy because it's a big idea. Like in InventOR this year, we had the mortars to fight fires, right? Where they were going to put bombs in mortar shells and just like send them up to fight fires.
Fire retardants.
Fire retardants. Yeah, not fighting fires, but fire retardant. Right? Like you can't really prove that and get someone to say yes, I'll buy your mortars necessarily. But how could you go about that same concept of getting validation without necessarily getting someone to hand over cash right away? Because sometimes you might, it might be a big ticket or something that you just still need to build. How do you do validation without actually having a sale?
I mean, from our perspective, there's a way you test it. You'd have to know that worked. And whether you're, I hate to say you're building a little small fire in a lab-like environment and then using it to show that put it out. And I don't want to say ever
as long
create
as
a big fire anywhere.
Forest Park or something.
Right. Obviously they might not let you walk in the middle of some forest fire and say, I'm going to try my product here with you all. Like that's not how it works. You have to have some proof that what you're creating is going to work. Because that's a question we would ask. How do you know that works? Well, scientifically, they're saying this. Maybe so, but you'd have to prove somehow that worked and maybe start to garner some kind of support from, I don't even know who. That's a unique example, a very unique example. But it's very, very real.
But
But
Forest Service or somebody like
somehow you'd have to partner with someone who's willing to give you a chance to show that this product is necessary, needed, reliable, and it's going to work. I don't know how.
So we come at it like I come at it a little differently. Is I say, I'm going to assume that your product does exactly what you say it does, and it's going to be the best thing in the world out there to do it. Given that, how do we build a business out of that? Like, what does it take to build your business? So who's going to buy it? Like, who are your customers? Is it the Forest Service that you're selling to? Do they contract it out to other people?
Right.
Are there forest management groups? If you don't know any of that stuff, it's time to stop building your product and go do the research on the market itself and who's going to buy the product, why, what are they doing today instead? Who's going to not want your product out there? If you're the forest fighting contractors, you don't want this, right? Like it's not in your best interest, and so maybe that's a bad example. But you know what I mean? It's like you want to find who's going to buy this and understand and go to them and say, hey, if we had this thing, would you buy it and how would it work? And what would you pay for it? Like that's a great way to validate all this stuff.
And then that might be without putting out there, well, would you pay $500? No, maybe they pay $1,000.
So,
right? Or $10,000.
well, what's the value? What's
right?
the value?
What's
Like,
value
if you understand what the value is, like, I think in this example again, if I remember talking to the guy, it was, we looked at the value of a square acre of timber, and we go to the owner of the land, and said, hey, if this burns down, you lose $300,000, right? And so would you pay, what's it worth to you then to make sure that doesn't happen? Do you have insurance? And this is kind of an insurance policy, so you kind of do it like that. I think understanding that is how you validate these things. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And what else would you like me to cover?
I was
What else?
literally about ready to go like this anyway.
Last question. Oh wow, we've been talking that long? Okay. One question I think is important to cover, one situation or piece of entrepreneurship is important to cover. How do you assess an entrepreneur's coachability? And whether or not how does coachability relate to success?
That's the easiest question in the world for
Okay.
us. So we have a process where you go through an orientation. It's 1 hour. You sit through and find out all the service provided. You like it, you move forward. And during that moving forward process, you're in a 10-hour kind of coaching slot with our intake specialists. And they're the ones walking you through to make sure to see what you have, what you're doing, what you've accessed, what you haven't. If you won't participate in the most minute of processes, the 1 hour a week process, or every time someone suggests, no, someone told me I did need that. Have you looked into? Yeah, I've looked into it. Can you see it? Do you have a business plan? No, I was told I didn't have to do. I mean, if you're getting pushback, and you'd be so shocked about how many people believe that they know their product, their community, their market, that they know everything. If they think they know everything but haven't made $1, or think they know everything and have made a few and want to grow it to the point where they want investment, at that point, we really start to put things back on them and say, okay, great. You can bring us this, this, and this. Here's how you do it. This is who you talk to. Here's all your connections. We see about their follow through. And if they can follow through that beginning phase, then they go into their solid coaching where they help them build and grow the business. But you cannot be a know-it-all, because if you knew it all, you wouldn't need any of us to begin with. You'd be able to find your own investor. You'd be able to create your own business plans and get your financials right on your own. It's hard. I mean, but people believe that their product is so great and so wonderful that all that other information, either they think they know it or they don't need it. For us, it's very simple to know. For you, I'm assuming.
We have a group of 180 investors that we all use, and we use that expertise. They've all run or started businesses. So I get a couple of them with an entrepreneur, and they provide feedback, and they'll say, "Did you think about this?" And an entrepreneur, or we have this question, and the entrepreneur says, "I don't know. I'm going to get back to you." Or I ask specifically, say, "Okay, could you get back to me with this?" And if you don't get back to me, then you're not responsive, let alone coachable. Yeah. And so that's kind of the things that we test out.
Yeah.
Like I test that right from the beginning. Like, just send me this later on, will you? And if they don't do that right from the start, then I'm kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really humility as a key trait for an entrepreneur, right? You got to be very humble.
It's humble and it's hustle combined, because it's a lot of work. And sometimes what we send them back to do, or the questions that we ask, or like the pushback we might give, means that they're going to have to do some work on their end. And if they're willing to do it, they come back to you right away. Just like you said, if you're requesting something, they'll be back next couple days. Yeah. I'm getting it together now, I'm figuring it out, I'm doing this, and you'll see it right there. You know that person really wants to push their business forward. Yeah. The ones who have a no hustle and just think that it's going to either come to them or that they don't need to do the work, those don't end up being our most successful clients.
Yep.
They don't get investment by us at all. So we're looking for that learning mindset.
Learning mindset, yep. Yeah. We good? Should I say something?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you both for all of your insights. I hope that this little nuggets of information and knowledge go on to help some of the students really figure out their process and help them along their journey. So thank you both for your time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.